Hi guys, and welcome to this new fun video. First of all, my hair currently matches my sweater, but next week I'm gonna go to the hairdresser, so I'm gonna say goodbye to this green hair. But in this video I want to explain my drawing process in my sketchbook, and I have kind of been developing it this month because of Peachtober. Peachtober is like Inktober, but it's hosted by Furry Little Peach, which I admire a lot as an artist and of course as a person and YouTuber. In this video you will see me drawing 3 prompts. I did 3 prompts today. I also did it live on Twitch. Sometimes I'm on Twitch. I'm mostly on Twitch during the evening, during a weekend day, but today was my first stream during the day because I really wanted footage for this video. In this video you will see me drawing these 2 drawings. I don't really like this one as much, and also the subject was kind of random because the prompt was slingshot and I just did some roly-polies slingshotting themselves. I do quite like this one, which is tunnel, so I did a little mole. And then the last one I did was this one, and I really like this one. The prompt was message, and I did this little pigeon with a letter that says I like your butt. I haven't removed the tape yet because I still want to do this side of the spread, but I really like how it looks. I think this one is my favorite of the ones I did today, but I do want to show some other ones that I really like that I did so far. In an upcoming vlog I'll do a full flip through of my Peachtober drawings, by the way, so be sure to follow me if you want to see it. I really like this one. I love the colors. I try to use like a consistent color scheme. These also are my favorites. I have a few favorites, but just subscribe and watch the vlog that I'm gonna put out, I think in a few weeks, because I'll do a flip through of all my Peachtober drawings. But let's get into the video. So in this video I want to talk about my drawing process and all the different art supplies that I use and how that I use them. First of all, maybe I could introduce all my supplies that I use. I have this little clip from my stream in which I explain which supplies I use, but I think the background music is a little bit bad, so please excuse that because I have had no idea that it sounded bad until Evert, who is my boyfriend, came into the chat to tell me. But here are all the supplies that I use. So these are the color pencils I'm gonna use. I don't use all of them in every drawing, but I like to use different colors. You can really see which ones I've been using a lot, especially the dark purple one. This watercolor set that I really love, and it has like an included brush that you can fill up with water. My sponge is a little bit dirty. I need to wash it out, but I just never think about it. Here is a little brush. You can fill it up with water. It's really nice. And here are all the different colors. I don't use all of these colors, but I kind of have like a color palette I follow. I also have this color palette, and it already has stains on it, but I haven't used it that much. And it's this metallic watercolor set, and I'm not too happy about it because I paid 40 euros for it, and it's not super saturated, but I feel like I should mix the water more with the paint so that more pigment comes off of these paints, if you know what I mean. Then I also use these fine liners. I actually want more fine liners. I probably have some lying around. Just from Stabilo. The color pencils I use are the Faber-Castell Polychromos brand, by the way. So these are just Stabilo fine liners. I just like to use them to enhance the lines that I do on my subjects. Wax pastels that I love so much. It kind of looks like color pencils a little bit. This is the Caran d'Ache Neo color, and they aren't water soluble, but I love them so much. I mainly use them for like added texture or on top of my Posca markers. And then the last thing I use I only used my brush markers from Winsor & Newton once so far, and that was with this drawing, but I'm not like the biggest fan of how it looks. I much more prefer my Posca markers. I have a few here. So Posca markers, they are acrylic markers. I love using them because they give a lot of contrast to the drawing. Here are just a few of the markers I use. I mainly use the black one, I feel like. And I also have a smaller white one for highlights. I was looking for a highlighter pen for such a long time, and then I decided to just buy a small Posca marker. Okay, so that's everything I use for my drawings. So I'm gonna start drawing. Again, this is a very random sketch, but I'm gonna start with this one. Now I want to talk a bit about which supplies, well, I already showed which supplies I use, but how I use them and why. Usually I start off with a layer of watercolor, and I really like the texture of watercolor, so that's why I use it. And I also really like my palette because it's very handy and you can take it anywhere. So I use that for like a background texture, and usually it looks very bad when it's only like the watercolor, because I'm not really skilled when it comes to watercolor, but I just really like the texture. So that's usually what I do first for my drawings. Another medium that I really like to use are Posca markers. I use the black Posca marker a lot, and I also like to use very flashy colors because I feel like the Posca markers are acrylic markers, by the way. I feel like they add a lot of contrast to my drawing, which I feel like can be hard to achieve. I feel like a few of the drawings I did so far had a little bit of like problems with the contrast, but then again I only spend like 1 to 2 hours on each drawing, and I feel like Posca markers always like save the drawing when it comes to adding contrast. Yeah, I just add Posca markers. I'm not gonna say these art mediums in like a particular order because usually I use them all over the place. I'm very all over the place, and I just use different mediums mixed together, like there's no chronological order. I also really like my Caran d'Ache wax pastels, and I usually use them to layer on my Posca markers to add more texture, because I feel like the Posca markers can be quite flat. And then I can also change up the color a little bit. If I don't like the original color, I can add textures and stuff like that. I really like to use my wax pastels specifically for that, to layer on top of what I already have to add more texture to it. And then of course I use my color pencils, and I use them to add more detail to my drawing, and kind of it really comes together starting when I use my color pencils, because I feel like before I use my color pencils it looks very ugly, my drawing. So when I start adding more detail it becomes a little bit better. And yeah, I also use my color pencils usually for shading and adding different tones to it. I really like to add different colors on top of my watercolor. For example, pink is I usually use it for like highlighted areas and blush and stuff like that. And then I always use my blue for like the shadowy parts. And then sometimes I also use yellow or green. I really like to layer the colors. I really think that's like an important part of my style. And of course I also use like a dark color pencil, but never a black. I think the darkest color that I use is like a very dark blue, but never black. And I just layer all the colors on top of each other, and I feel like it really adds to it. For my highlights I use a very thin Posca marker. I have been looking for a highlighter pen for a while, and I just decided to buy a Posca marker. And I always do I just add highlights, like lines, and also rim lighting. So where it's supposed to be dark, I also really like to add highlights. And I don't know why, but in my opinion it just looks good. I just kind of add like a little white line about everywhere on the side of my character or drawing or thing I'm drawing. I also really like to use fine liners to give the outlines a bit more depth, but I won't like outline everything. I'll just try to outline a few parts of the subject a little bit. I hope you can see that in my drawing. Usually I don't outline the full subject, but I just like to add a bit more depth to, for example, my color pencil lines. And I like to layer that a little bit. And I actually think that's my whole process for drawing currently, and I really like it a lot. And I also draw digitally, and I really want to take the texture from what I do on my sketchbook and also do that on Procreate on my iPad, because I love the texture so much that I have in my sketchbook. And I'm very happy with like the little routine I have for drawing in my sketchbook at the moment. And it will probably evolve over time, because I feel like the way I draw continuously changes, also when I draw digitally. But I just wanted to make a little video, and hopefully you get inspired to also evolve your style a little bit and apply it to your own drawings and style, because I really feel like I'm onto something now. I don't draw on paper that often, but because of Peachtober I have been drawing a lot on paper, and I feel like it's really paying off. And I see things that I really like to do on paper. But I feel like for Peachtober there are a few drawings that I've done that I don't like as much, but I don't feel like I have made drawings that are like absolutely horrible or ugly. And if you think that's the case, please don't let me know. So I feel like this routine is safe to not mess up, if you know what I mean. I feel like because I have this routine, I can keep making drawings that I know that I find at least okay, and sometimes I find them really good. So I'm gonna keep using this little routine of like all these art supplies that I'm using. And yeah, that's actually it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed. It was a very quick video, I feel like. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you thought of this video. And I'll see you in next week's video. Have a good day or night. Bye bye!